I think one of the key takeaways for me in just a short amount of time is just how frequently I say no. It's funny because when you're in the building space, you say yes almost to everything. And then when you invest, you're saying no to everything. Like you got to have enough buffer built into this to where you're still delivering to your partners with that risk tolerance buried into it. And so I know that's a given, and I know that's something that maybe doesn't even need to be stated, but I'm learning now it's like a deal has to be a home run for me to want to entertain it. And so when these come across the table and they happen sometimes in bunches, it's like, hey, 3 or 4 hit my desk today. It's like, all right, I've got to work through each of these things and try to size that opportunity up appropriately. Say pencil on paper, but they're just not the right timing, or it's not the right thing, or it's not the right asset class that I need to be focused on right now.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Kesil. Today, I'm joined by someone that I'm looking forward to chat with, Brad Robinson, who is the founder and managing partner of Bradford Equity Partners, an investment firm focused on real estate development and acquiring construction-related operating businesses. So excited to have you here today, Brad.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. Thanks, Michelle.
Of course. I think our listeners are going to take something away from how you're approaching the custom development, your disciplined capital and value creation. So let's dive into.
Sounds good.
First off, for those who are not yet familiar with you and your work, can you share what your main focus is?
Yeah, so I've had my hands in development for the last 18 years, and in more recent history, since 2018, I started a custom home business, mostly building and working for clients that want to develop their dream home. So in getting into that work, I found that we operate best when we are sitting at the head of the table, and moving from the builder role to the the owner's rep model really helped us understand well, it's really what we already knew, but what it helped us do is navigate that space a little bit differently in guiding clients towards their optimal outcome, not just a product at the end of the engagement. So being a builder is very specific, right? You're going to execute the plans as drawn and designed, and you're going to build it to the best of your ability that way it matches the plans. But when you take a step out front into the owner's rep model, you really are responsible for 100% of the equation and really what the desired outcome is. And that's a space that I've tremendously enjoyed, because in my own endeavors, in my own investments, I am that person anyway. So, all of the developments I was doing for myself, I was responsible for the architecture, responsible for the interior design, responsible for the financial, the financials matching up to what the market expectations was. And so doing this for clients felt just natural to us. And so as that evolved and the size of the project opportunities coming to us really changed, I built a massive pipeline of projects throughout the Southeast, and then ultimately built the Bradford Equity Partners fund to help support developing those larger, more complex projects where, banks typically are going to be a little cautious to step into that price point.
Awesome. Yeah. How, did you get started in creating this fund? What did that process look like?
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Yeah, so it actually took longer than I thought. And that was mostly because I had to educate myself on all the financial regulations around private equity funds to start with. I had had some knowledge and had invested in funds in my past, but knowing who to call, knowing the resources that could help me not only ideate, but create something that would be, really compelling and really beneficial to the investors that we wanted to attract, because of the value-based mission that we have, I had to dig pretty deep. And so I went to a company that specializes in developing funds for guys like us, and spent a year. I didn't push it. I just took my time with it. I really wanted to understand every layer, every complexity, every nuance, because like anything else, I'm gonna obsess over it before I do it. And so, just came out on the other side of dealing thesis into, all of the documentation needed into legal, and then, directly into an LOI, which was great.
Yeah. Amazing. And what does the process of the fund look like for you now?
Yeah, so now that the fund has been established and we've got active projects and active investments, being deployed, really now it's just helping the investors understand, just updates. It's like, here's what's going on. Our deal flow is constantly evolving. We've been, able to maintain 100% deal flow, with what we're doing right now. And that's positive. I think it's in large part because we've been presented with lots of opportunities through my traditional construction company. And that's great. When a magazine approaches us to do a show house and, we're able to fund that deal, it's a little different these days. And so, but these type of opportunities continue to show up, and we're able to really just cherry pick the opportunities that make sense for us now and for the fund and for the investors, so that we can give them a max return on investment. It's pretty fun. I think some of the fun parts about it for me now, as I go out and approach these trades-based businesses, the mechanical, electrical, plumbing companies that we are wanting to purchase, that is an area that is still, while I understand how they run, how they operate, I can read the balance sheet, I can understand what their assets look like. I understand all those pieces. It's still somewhat of a learning curve to me. And so we've engaged with a partner who really knows that space well and is helping keep our deal pipeline very fresh over there. So I think I'm most encouraged to continue to learn that piece of business acquisition, whereas I've typically been mostly execution. So that's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. And are you operating in specific markets or nationwide?
Yeah, so we're anchored in the southeastern United States, mostly where my resources are just and my connections are the strongest. Although we've been executing some projects in Colorado. We've got another project that's going to be going under construction in Aspen next year, or actually in late part of 26. It looks like it's a Q3. But no, we're actually spreading our wings. I was approached by a large developer in St. George, Utah, and it looks like we're going to be potentially carving out a piece of that development for the product that we're bringing to life in a very prominent golf course community there. So no, I've been expanding my geographic area pretty vastly.
Amazing. What are some keys that you feel have made the biggest difference in allowing your business to be able to grow and to run smoothly?
It's the people. I've been very fortunate to um, have developed some wonderful relationships and been able to make some very strategic hires. And this past year, I was able to bring in an operator to take over my primary construction based business, and being able to step back from those day to day responsibilities has given me a lot more time to produce these new opportunities, to think through these new opportunities, to be more strategic about where my time is spent. And so um, people really is the best answer to that, because now there's no longer a requirement for me to be any particular place at any particular time outside of meetings that I'm taking with prospective investors, or I'm meeting with someone who's presenting an opportunity to me, or meeting with another fellow business owner in connection with potentially procuring their company, or acquiring their company. And so I'm spending a lot more time on the investment piece rather than the executional piece, and it's been huge for me.
Yeah, definitely. And what is like the process of being in the investment piece? Like, what are some tangible things that you're doing?
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Yeah. So I mean, it never stops. That's what I'm learning. It's at first, I'll have to admit, before I had an operator running the business full time, and my attention was being stretched between both practice areas, one running a construction business, two running an investment side business. And it wasn't a side business, as you're running an investment for people who have real money invested with you. So it's equally as important, if not more, that we deliver on those returns for our investors. But the tangible day to day looks very different. It looks like you're sizing up deals all day. Something lands on your desk, an email hits your inbox, and you're looking at it from 17 different angles, and you're trying to understand, does this land? You're typically, it starts with land. It's like our great partners and real estate agents who are sort of the eyes and ears of good opportunity, and then other investors who or other developers even, who get things that come across their desks. They say, yeah, this one's not for me. This one looks like something that's great for you. You end up building this incredible network where people are constantly just shuffling ideas back and forth to one another. And then all of a sudden, your deal flow is on warp speed, because you're sizing things up every day. And what I found, and I think one of the key takeaways for me in just a short amount of time, is just how frequently I say no. It's funny, because when you're in the building space, you say yes almost to everything. And then when you invest, you're saying no to everything. And so it's been a paradigm shift for me, and something really cool, because, the numbers, they've got to make perfect sense. Like, you got to have enough buffer built into this to where you're still delivering to your partners with that risk tolerance buried into it. And so I know that's a given, and I know that's something that maybe doesn't even need to be stated. But I'm pretty like on the risk side. I'm fine with risk. I live with it every day. I'm good with it. But I'm learning now, it's like a deal has to be a home run for me to want to entertain it. And so when these come across the table, and they happen sometimes in bunches, it's like, hey, 3 or 4 hit my desk today. It's like, all right, I've got to work through each of these things and try to size that opportunity up appropriately. But guess what? 2/3 of it, maybe 100% of those opportunities, they're good ones and they make sense. They pencil on paper, but they're just not the right timing, or it's not the right thing, or it's not the right asset class that I need to be focused on right now.
Right. Makes sense. And what are you most focused on solving or scaling to next?
Yeah, I think, I set out 2026 to be incredibly intentional about how I spend my time and which direction I'm going to be pointed this year. And one of the things that I really set a chart for in late 25 was I want to focus on building for the biological benefit of humans. And the way that we bring the built environment to life needs to be based on something incredibly important, not just tax credits or energy credits or, for just how low to the bottom of construction costs can we get, but how can we directly impact the human being that's living in that space? And so that's something that's become incredibly important to me and trying to figure that out. I've got some very deep relationships at Stanford, and I'm exploring the science-backed data proof perspective of how our built environment impacts our biology. And I'm leaning deeply and heavily into that. And I'm encouraged by what we're finding and what the data says. And I think that it's the new frontier.
Yeah, absolutely. And how was that something that's supporting your business, like having that access to that information?
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
You know, when you stop marketing for the sakes of trying to build more houses, increase your revenue, increase your bottom line, and you start doing things because it actually benefits people, the deeply meaningful work translates so much clearer. And the people that care, they are much more willing to be open and receptive to the advancements that we're making in this space. And there's so many opportunities that are unlocking themselves because of this message and because of the meaning behind what we're doing. Look, dollars and cents will always matter, but what I would say is like, can you put value on more years? And can you put value on better years? I would suggest there is a massive return on investment there that people haven't been giving credit to. And I think that we have the ability to unlock that ROI through the built environment.
Totally. That's a really awesome perspective. Thanks for sharing that. What are some obstacles or challenges that you may have overcome in the recent years that now, looking back in hindsight, you have the lesson on?
This past year was an interesting one because while we didn't have a recession and we didn't have a massive slowdown, what we had a market that was shifting incredibly fast. The tariffs created a lot of fear. They challenged us all to look at, in a deeper way, where we're sourcing from. And we had to become very cognizant of a future state. Whereas I think a lot of times these projects are happening at a specific point in time and you can't necessarily narrow the exact cost down for when you're going to purchase something in the cycle of the build. It forced us all to take a deeper dive into the procurement processes that we had and to try to remove and eliminate all the risk or as much of the risk out of the build cycle as we possibly can. And I know in the residential space, builders don't typically have sophisticated procurement processes, not the individual custom home builder. Yes, large scale, national track home builders are going to do things in a more sophisticated way. Even builders that, maybe build up to 20 or 30 homes a year, you may have a sourcing professional, a procurement specialist that is going to give you some line of sight into risk and where your exposure risk is. But unless you're Rain Man as a custom home builder, a single guy who's building, 1 to 5 homes a year, like you're going to always be stuck dealing with whatever the market gives you. because there's not a lot of people out there giving it that much, they're not putting as much effort into it as it probably deserves. And so this past year taught us that we all have to stay focused on that. And even on my team, which I would consider to be on the smaller side, we have 22 employees, the folks that are responsible for purchasing, responsible for having some visibility and some, and some foresight into cost, they're leveraging tools now that make us a lot more strong and help us protect our margins and our clients' resources in a more significant way.
Yeah, absolutely. That is super important to note and to be aware of.
But yeah.
What are some goals or exciting things that you're looking forward to for your business in this year?
Yeah. This year, what's great is that we're starting the year off looking at a revenue projection that's double of that of last year. And I know that I speak for probably myself and several of the builders that are in my direct, reference group as having some of the similar projections. And so I think 25 was the year of pause and kind of see how things go. I think that there's still a lot of pent up demand coming into 26. And I think that, just what we have what we have contracted at this point is going to be wild. So I'm excited to see our team maximize full efficiency and handle it with grace. I think that that's an encouraging piece for me, is knowing that we're staffed and ready to support the business that we have. But I'm excited to see, really what the last quarter of the year, I'm thinking about Q4 right now. I've been very fortunate, at least on the home building side of things. We're completely sold out for the first, 10 months of the year, transparently. And the projects that we are delivering on in 25, some of them began concept in 24. The early part of, the new projects going into 26 started in the late part of 24. If a project got started today, for instance, or not get started, but went into the planning phase, 10, 12, 14 months getting into production would be fast. So I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged by the new projects that'll come into the fold because I know some of them are going to be portfolio driving projects. I'm excited because the investments that we've been able to cultivate are going to drive strong returns for our investors. And I think this is a year where I'm excited that there's going to be a lot more people involved in what I'm doing that are going to share in the rewards of how much value we're creating. And I think that that's really exciting because for while I've had investors in the past, I've never had a fund that was this big, right? So having $50 million to deploy and execute is a massive number comparatively. And I think that, seeing those investors or cutting those investors' checks is going to be probably the most fun thing I get to do because everybody is now sharing in the success of how strong this market is.
Absolutely. That's exciting. So before we wrap up here, if someone wants to reach out, connect, collaborate, where can people find you and reach you?
Yeah, the easiest way is to find me at the website. So www.bradfordequity.com. If you're interested in our custom home building products, it's just as easy. It's bradfordbuilds.com. Try to make that really easy. And then you can always find us on Instagram. Our portfolio is basically alive and in a living fashion over at Instagram. It's at Bradford Built. And you can see current ongoing projects all the time.
Perfect. Appreciate your time, your story, your perspective. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle.
Of course. For the listeners tuning in, if you got value, make sure you've subscribed. We've got more conversations with operators like Brad who are building real businesses. We'll see you on our next episode.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.